So over the last couple of videos, we've looked at converting fractions into decimals and vice versa. Okay, now we're going to add percentages into the mix. Okay, so fractions, decimals, percentages are basically three ways of representing the same information. Okay, they all mean the same, but the reason we learn three different ways of representing that information is because often it depends on the context of the question. Okay, and which one is the most appropriate to use. Okay, so we need to be able to juggle between all three and link them together. So let's start off by thinking about percent. What does percent actually mean? You might recognize this symbol as meaning percent, and basically that just means out of 100. Okay, so when we're dealing with percent, we're thinking of hundredths, okay, which we've done lots of now. So turning percentages into fractions. This is the easy one, because basically all we're going to do is put our percentage over 100, because it's always out of 100. So look at 1%. Okay, I've got 1 out of 100. Okay, so I've got 1 out of 100. I've got 1/100th. Okay, let's have a look at another one. So again, percentage to fractions. I'm just going to put the percentage over 100. So I've got 17%. I've got 17 out of 100. I can think of it a bit like a score on a test. I've got 17 out of 100. I've got 17/100ths. 60%, exactly the same. So I've got 60 out of 100. Okay, nice and straightforward. You might also recognise that this, I could make it smaller. I can find an equivalent fraction. Okay, so 60 and 100, I can divide both of those numbers by 10, for example. Okay, so if I divide by 10, I would end up with 6/10. Okay, and even again, I can still make that even smaller. I can divide both these numbers by 2. So this becomes 3/5. Okay, so that's helpful to know. So we're converting percentages to fractions. Really quite easy. I take my percent and I just put it over 100. And if I can simplify my fraction, then that's what I can do. Okay, you might also then think to yourself, oh, well, I already know some of the decimal equivalents for these fractions because of the work we've already done. So you might have recognised that this was equivalent to 0.1. 17/100ths, well, that's equivalent to 0.17. Okay, 60/100ths or 6/10ths, you might have recognised that as being equivalent to 0.6. Okay, so we're thinking about how we link this knowledge that we've gained together. So percentages to decimals and vice versa, decimals to percentages. Now, it's not tricky. It is maths that you've done before. It's just remembering what to do. So to turn a percentage into a decimal, I'm going to divide by 100. And if I've got a decimal and I want to turn it into a percentage, I'm just going to times that number by 100. Okay, so let's have a look what that looks like. 3%. 3%, I want to turn it into a decimal, so I'm going to divide by 100. 3 divided by 100, 0.03. Okay, because 3 is in my hundreds column. It's moved 2 places. It was in the ones column, and it's now moved 2 places into the hundreds column. 29%, okay, divide that by 100, I end up with 0.29. Okay, you can start to see that all of these percentages are less than 1. Okay, that's because 100% equals 1 whole. So anything less than 100% is always going to be less than 1. It's always going to be 0 point something. 84%. 84 divided by 100 is 0.84. Okay, hopefully this is all starting to make sense. So nothing too complicated. What about if I've got the decimal then? So let's look back. So Percentages to decimals was divide by 100. Decimals to percentages, I'm going to multiply this time. So 0.35, I'm going to multiply by 100. This becomes 35%. Okay, because I've multiplied both of these numbers by 100, so everything moves 2 places. 0.07 times 100, so everything's got to move 2 places. Where's it going to end up? Yeah, it's going to end up in the ones column. I've got 7%. 0.9. 0.9. Okay, what's that going to become? What do you think? Yeah, it's going to be 90%. Okay, because I can imagine there's an actual 0 there. That might help me out if I need to. I can put it in, so it's always useful to do. Okay, so far we've done fractions and percentages, percentage to fractions, nice and easy. Okay, I just put my percentage over 100, and then percentage decimals, multiplying and dividing by 100. Okay, skills we've all used before. So, see if you can put those skills to use. Do you think these questions are true or false? Pause the video. You might want to do some working out to find your answers. Off you go. How did you get on? Let's have a look. So 10% equals 0.1. Was that true or false? Well, that was true. Okay, 10%, 10 divided by 100 is 0.1 or 0.10. Okay, 9 hundredths is equal to 90%. Okay, that one was false. Okay, 90%, 90 divided by 100. Okay, or if I turn it into a fraction, sorry, I've got 90 100ths, not 9 100ths. Okay, 9 100ths is equal to 9%, so it's false. 0.54 is equal to 45%. That's false. Okay, so why is it false? Well, 0.54 would be equivalent to 54%. Okay, or 45% would be equivalent to 0.45. Here's another 3 to have a go at. Pause the video again, have another go. So, how did you get on this time? Starting to make those links. So 70% is equal to 0.07. Well, that's false. Okay, 70% is the same as 0.7, or 0.07 is the same as 7%, not 70. Okay, 0.08 is equal to 8%. Well, that's true. Finally then, 25% equals 1/4. Okay, now this is one of the important ones you need to learn off by heart. It's always handy to know. It is true. Okay, 25% is equal to 1/4. Okay, and we can check that information. So I can use skills I've previously practiced. So 25% is the same as 25 over 100. Okay, and if I simplify that, 25 can be divided by 4. It can be divided by 25. And this can also be divided by 25. And that would equal 1/4. Okay, that's the way I could check. Or you could have checked by finding the decimal equivalent of 1/4. So you might have done 4 and divided 1 by 4. 4 into 1 doesn't go. 4 into 10 goes twice with 2 left over. 4 into 20 goes 5 times 0.25. That's the same as 25%. Okay, whichever method you moved. How did you get on with those? If you think you need a bit more practice, then rewind the video, give it another go. Okay, you can try out some of your own by jotting down some percentages and decimals and see if you can convert them. Okay then. Fractions to percentages. Okay, so we already looked at percentages to fractions. That was nice and easy. Okay, it's nice and easy as long as there's a 100 at the bottom. So 4 hundredths is the same as 4%. 59 hundredths is the same as 59%. Nice and straightforward. But what about when we haven't got 100 as the denominator? What am I going to do then? What do you think I could do? Yep, so just like we've done in other lessons, we're just going to find an equivalent fraction where I can turn it into 100 on the denominator. So 10 times 10 and 3 times 10. Okay, this would now give me 31 hundredths. Okay, and that would equal 30%. Okay, or you might have thought to yourself, oh, well, I know that 3/10 is equal to 0.3, or I can even imagine it as 0.30, and that would equal 30%. Okay, either way is fine. Okay, you do whatever method you find easiest to follow. How about a quarter? How would we do that one? Well, exactly the same. We could either convert it so that it becomes 100. Okay, so I could times this by 25 and then this by 25. So I end up with 25 hundredths, and that's equal to 25%. Or you might have used the decimal equivalent. You might have thought to yourself, well, if I divide 1 by 4, I end up with 0.25. Okay, and I know that that is also equal to 25%. Again, you notice it doesn't matter which way around you do it, my answer is always the same, because they all mean, they're all related, they're all the same. But what if, now these ones we could work out, because we could do an equivalent fraction to 100. However, there are some fractions where we can't give an equivalent fraction to 100. So what are we going to do now? What do you think we could do? Okay, so we're going to use this method. Okay, if I find a decimal equivalent, then I can find a percentage. So 1/3, I'm going to divide 1 by 3. Just extend my bus stop there. Oh, sorry, I'm dividing by 3. 3 into 1 doesn't go. Pass it on. 3 into 10 goes 3 times, because 3 times 3 is 9, 1 left over. That's 3, with 1 left over, that's 3. We've got a recurring number. So what do we do? So, a couple of things. So we can go, it's 33.3%, because remember, to turn a decimal into percent, I just times by 100. Or often we see it rounded. So if I was to round this to a whole number, it would be the equivalent of 33%. Okay. What about 1/6 and 1/9? See if you can use the same method to find what percentage 1/6 and 1/9 is equal to. How did you get on? Okay, so you're linking your different parts of maths. Okay, you're having to use your division skills to find your decimal equivalent, and then multiplying by 100 to find your percentage equivalent. So let's divide 1 by 6 this time. 6 into 1 doesn't go. Pass it on. 6 into 10 goes once, with 4 left over. 6 into 40 goes how many times? Yeah, 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36, with 4 left over, with 6 left over. Okay, and we would have 4 left over again, and so on. Okay, so what does that equal then? Okay, well, we've times it by 100. 16 point, what's it going to be this time? Yeah, it's going to be 16.7% this time. Why is it 16.7 and why not 16.6? Well, that's because when we round, we always look at the number that comes just before it. Okay, so you might have fallen into a trap there of 16.6%. Okay, if you rounded it, however, it wouldn't have made a difference. It would have been 16%. Okay, so it is helpful to round it sometimes. How about a ninth? How did you get on with that one? Let's give that one a go. So I'm dividing by 9. I'm dividing 1 by 9. 9 into 1 doesn't go. That's on the 1. It goes once with 1 left over, once with 1 left over, once with 1 left over. Okay, so what's that going to be then? Times that by 100, that's 11.1%. Or if we round it, that would equal 11%. Okay, how did you get on? Yeah, those are trickier to do. Okay, but well done for giving it a go. Fancy challenge? Then how about you try these ones? This time you've got to use the more than, less than, and equal symbol in order to compare these amounts. So you're going to have to maybe convert them so they're both percentage, or they're both decimals, or they're both fractions, and that way you'll be able to compare. Have a go at this one. How did you get on? Yep, these were a challenge. Okay, but if you're feeling confident, or you've done the video a few times, it's good to push ourselves. So let's have a look. 40% and 1/4. Is one greater or less, or are they equal to one another? Okay, well, remember 1/4 was one I told you that was important to remember. 1/4 I know equals 25%. Okay, so straight away I know that 40% is larger. Okay, or you might have thought to yourself, oh, I wasn't sure about that one, so you might have converted it. Okay, so you might have turned this maybe into 25 hundredths and then thought, oh yeah, that's the same as 25%. Or you might have turned this into 41 hundredths. Okay, doesn't matter what method you're using, okay, as long as you're getting that answer correct. Number 2, 0.4 and 5/8. So I've got a decimal and a fraction. Okay, well, if I turn this into a fraction, 0.4, I'd end up with 4/10. But that doesn't really help me too much because I've got 5/8. Okay, so what could I do? Oh, well, I could convert them both into equivalent fractions. Okay, or I can turn 5/8 into a decimal, which might be quicker. Okay, so let's give that a go. That's the method I'm going to use. So 5 divided by 8. 8 into 5 doesn't go. Okay, pass on the 5. 8 into 50. Okay, 8 times table. It'll go 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. I've got 2 left over. 8 into 20. Well, that goes twice. 2 times 8 is 16. I've got 4 left over. 8 into 40 goes exactly 5 times. 0.625. So 5/8 is larger. Yeah, tricky one, that one. Now, for number 3 and number 4, you'll see that I've got 3 different amounts to compare. So I'm going to need 2 symbols. So 5%, a half, and 0.5. Now, straight away, I recognise one of these important ones that I need to remember. I know that a half is worth 50%. And I also know that 0.5 is worth 50%. Okay, so they're equal to one another. I know 50% is much larger than 5%, so I need the correct symbol. How about number 4? Last one then. I've got 0.75 57% and 1/5. Okay, so what are you going to choose? Because I've got a decimal, a percentage and a fraction. So I need to decide what I'm going to show them as. What I'm going to turn them into, decimals. So this would be 0.57 because I've divided that one by 100. And a fifth, another important one to remember, but if you can't remember it, you can do a quick bus stop division. Okay, 1 divided by 5. 5 into 1 doesn't go, it's too big. 5 into 10 goes twice, 0.2. 0.2. Okay, so that means that 0.75 was larger. Okay, and 57% was also larger. Well done if you got all those. Those are tricky ones, they were challenges, but well done for giving it a go.